Sicily, an island of beauty, sun-drenched beaches that stretch as far as the eye can see. Rolling hills dotted with ancient olive groves, whispering tales of a rich and storied past. But beneath this idyllic surface lurks a darker side, a shadow that has loomed over the island for generations. This is the home of the Sicilian Mafia, also known as Cosa Nostra, our thing. A secret society that has woven itself into the very fabric of Sicilian life. For centuries, this clandestine organization has held a grip on the island, its influence stretching far beyond Sicily's shores, reaching into the very heart of global crime networks. They are shrouded in myth and legend, their stories passed down through generations, often romanticized but always feared. But one thing is certain, the Mafia's story is one of power, violence, and the enduring human desire for control. Their methods are ruthless, their reach extensive. Their history is long and bloody, marked by countless acts of violence and intimidation. It's a tale woven into the fabric of Sicily itself, a dark thread in the island's vibrant tapestry. To understand the Mafia, we need to journey back in time to the very roots of their existence. We need to go back to their origins, to the days when Sicily was a land of feudal lords and peasant farmers. We need to understand how they rose from humble beginnings, from protectors of the land to become one of the most powerful and feared criminal organizations the world has ever seen. So buckle up, this is going to be a wild ride through history, power, and the dark underbelly of paradise. To understand the Mafia, we need to go back to Sicily's feudal past, a time when the island was a patchwork of vast estates controlled by powerful landowners. Imagine a time of vast estates stretching as far as the eye could see, owned by a few wealthy families. These powerful landowners ruled with an iron fist. Their word was law, and their influence was absolute. The poor toiled in the fields from dawn till dusk, their lives ruled by fear and uncertainty, always at the mercy of their landlords. This harsh environment was the perfect breeding ground for the Mafia. They emerged as protectors of the oppressed. They offered what the weak lacked, security and a sense of justice, albeit their own brand of it. Local strongmen, often bandits or former soldiers, saw an opportunity to gain power and influence. They offered protection in exchange for loyalty and obedience, creating a network of influence. These men became known as mafiosi, men of honor, though their honor was often twisted and self-serving. It was a twisted kind of honor, but it was a code they lived by, a code that demanded loyalty and secrecy. They settled disputes, enforced debts, and kept the peace, all while lining their own pockets and expanding their influence. The seeds of organized crime had been sown, and the Mafia would grow to become a powerful force in Sicily and beyond. As Sicily modernized, the Mafia adapted. The unification of Italy in 1861 left a power vacuum. The new Italian state was weak and distant. Sicily felt ignored, its needs neglected. Into this void stepped the Mafia. They were organized, ruthless, and knew how to exploit the system. They infiltrated local government, police, and businesses. They used their influence for their own gain. Extortion rackets flourished. Politicians were in their pockets. The Mafia's grip on Sicily tightened. They became the de facto rulers in many areas. Their power was almost absolute. The Mafia's tentacles spread like a virus. They controlled everything. They controlled food production. They controlled construction. They controlled transportation. If it made money, the Mafia wanted a piece of it. One of their earliest ventures was the citrus fruit trade. Sicily was a major producer of lemons and oranges. The Mafia saw an opportunity. They controlled the orchards, they controlled the packing houses, they controlled the shipping routes. They used threats and violence to eliminate competition. This gave them a stranglehold on the market. It was a lucrative business. It also provided a front for other more illicit activities. The Mafia were masters of disguise. They hid their true nature behind legitimate businesses, but their wealth and power came at a terrible cost. Section 5. The American Cousin, a fruitful relationship across the Atlantic. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw mass migration from Italy to America. Among them were members of the Mafia. They found fertile ground in the United States. Prohibition was in full swing. Alcohol was illegal, creating a huge black market. The Mafia seized this opportunity with both hands. They set up bootlegging operations. They ran speakeasies. They bribed law enforcement. They fought bloody turf wars with rival gangs. The American Mafia was born. They became a powerful force in their own right, but they never forgot their Sicilian roots. Strong ties remained between the two groups. They shared intelligence, resources, and manpower. This transatlantic alliance made both organizations even more powerful. Section 6. The Mafia Wars, Blood in the Streets, Power Up for Grabs. Within the Mafia, power is a dangerous game. The stakes are high and the players are ruthless. Ambition and greed often led to violence. Disputes were rarely settled peacefully. The 1960s saw a bloody power struggle erupt in Sicily. The island became a battleground. This became known as the First Mafia War. It was a period marked by intense conflict. Rival clans battled for control of the drug trade. The lucrative business fueled their ferocity. The streets ran red with blood. Innocent lives were lost in the crossfire. Civilians were caught in the crossfire. Fear and chaos gripped the community. Judges and prosecutors who dared to challenge the Mafia were assassinated. The violence shocked Italy. It was a dark time for justice. It exposed the true extent of the Mafia's power. Their influence was far-reaching and deeply rooted. The Italian government could no longer ignore the problem. The public demanded action. They launched a major crackdown. Raids and arrests became frequent. But the Mafia was deeply entrenched. Their roots ran deep. They had built a fortress of loyalty and fear. Bringing them to justice would be a long and arduous task. The battle against the Mafia was just beginning. Section 7. The Maxi Trials, A Nation Strikes Back. In the 1980s, Italy finally struck back. A courageous group of judges and prosecutors risked their lives to bring the Mafia to justice. They launched the Maxi Trials, the largest Mafia trial in history. Hundreds of mobsters were indicted. The evidence against them was overwhelming. Wiretaps revealed their inner workings. Turncoats testified against their former comrades. The trials were a watershed moment. They showed that the Mafia was not invincible. They could be brought to justice, but the fight was far from over. Section 8. The Grip on Power, Omerta and the Code of Silence. The Mafia's power rests on a code of silence, Omerta. It's a sacred vow. Members are forbidden from talking to the authorities. Breaking this vow is punishable by death. This code has made it incredibly difficult to prosecute Mafia members. Witnesses are often too afraid to testify. Those who do put themselves and their families at risk. The Mafia also uses intimidation and violence to maintain control. They target businesses that refuse to pay protection money. They threaten journalists who investigate their activities. They use their wealth and influence to corrupt officials. This creates a climate of fear. It makes people afraid to speak out. Section 9. The Global Reach, from Palermo to Hollywood. While deeply rooted in Sicily, the Mafia's reach is global. They have established a presence in many countries. They are involved in a wide range of criminal activities: drug trafficking, arms smuggling, money laundering, cybercrime. They are masters of adaptation. They exploit new technologies and opportunities. Their influence can be seen in popular culture. Hollywood has long been fascinated by the Mafia. These films often romanticize Mafia life. They portray mobsters as glamorous and powerful figures. This can distort the reality of organized crime. It's important to remember that the Mafia is a ruthless criminal organization. Section 10. The Mafia Today, a waning force or a hidden hand. So where does the Mafia stand today? Their power is not what it once was. Law enforcement agencies have had some success in dismantling their operations, but the Mafia is resilient. They have adapted to changing circumstances. They have become more sophisticated in their methods. Some experts believe they are moving away from traditional rackets. They are investing in legitimate businesses. They are infiltrating new markets. They are exploiting globalization. The Mafia may be less visible than in the past, but make no mistake, they are still a force to be reckoned with. Section 11. Conclusion. The story continues. Subscribe to learn more. The Sicilian Mafia story is a long and complex one. It's a story of power, corruption, and violence. But it's also a story of resilience, adaptation, and the enduring allure of forbidden power. Want to delve deeper into the Mafia's shadowy world? Subscribe to our channel for more documentaries, interviews, and exclusive content. Don't worry, we won't make you an offer you can't refuse. unless you're into that sort of thing.